Welcome everyone to another episode of Real Time with Dan, and this is episode 2. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a few effects of the so-called virus that is actually impeding on everyone's lives as we know it, the effects of having to go to supermarkets, the measures they take, and how it affects everyone who's shopping there and everyone who's working there. We're also going to dive into a few other things as well, just to try and keep the channel a little bit more optimistic and also make it a little bit more child friendly. So, without further ado, let's just jump straight into the first one. So, right here, I actually got a picture. Sorry, not a live feed, but we actually have a picture here, all the way out from Essex, which is actually, I believe, Thurrock, and this is actually outside Costco. Now, this was actually around a week ago, so this was before anything really happened. Like, I don't think people were quite distancing themselves properly, as you can clearly see. So, massive change. But as of late, like, outside of our local retailers, which of course, like anywhere, whether it be Asda, Sainsbury's, or Tesco, there is actually a significant change because they've now introduced like actual lines that people had to stand behind. So, I mean, that's certainly a very big measure to take. I mean, that's pretty spontaneous, but also, I think, necessary. So, of course, this goes with the wishes of our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. Now, to remind you of what he said, so, we are not allowed to go outside, or he wants to stay indoors, but we are only allowed out if we are shopping for essentials, so basically food and medicine. We're only allowed to do one form of exercise a day, which is simply either a walk, run, or a cycle, whether that be on your own or with members of your household. Third, if you are going to a medical centre or to care for a vulnerable person, so essentially like a care home, give or take. And fourth, if you're commuting to and from work. So that sounds simple enough, but that's only if you can actually get to work, if you're unable to work from home. So yes, now there are of course some jobs that won't be able to do that. So retail workers and NHS staff are main exceptions. Everything else, every other small business out there, such as, anything from Primark, Superdrug, JD Sport, Smith's Toy Superstore, all shut. Anyway, but as well as that, I also got a few random bystanders' opinions. Now, 95% of these people, and I am keeping these anonymous, so no names are mentioned, but 95% of all people that I spoke to said they agreed with the terms that, local retailers have made in order to keep social distancing like a thing, because sometimes, people think that they're just not effective, but like before, it was just ineffective because the fact was everyone was still allowed everyone was still going, way too close to each other. And now most supermarkets are now beginning to limit the amount of people that are actually going into the supermarket. Now that's a good thing in its own way, but the next best thing is actually marking out where people should stand in retrospect to other people. And so, with that in mind, however, there were a couple of people that said that we need to do better. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, they actually suggested that on the checkouts, they should put some sort of protective pane of maybe plastic or glass, a bit like a post office. So, in essence, they pack on one side of it, the checkout assistant would be behind it, and then essentially they would scan the items through, and then, it'd be on the other side of the glass so they could just pick it up. That's all well and good, but that's a very radical change, and that would probably take, that would take a while, and it would definitely be a bit makeshift, that's for sure. But for the safety of customers, it's something that I can see it would definitely benefit, but I think it would also be a bit of a hassle because that would just give more hasslers more of a challenge, and they would easily just start trying to crash the thing down. And plus, next thing you know, we'll be behind. It would be like we're being locked in a prison. I mean, it would literally be like being in solitary confinement in a prison, is what I would think of it. But besides that, saying that though, moving on, there is actually a lot of stuff going around. So if I just move around here a bit, I actually recently saw, if I go into this story, that I actually saw this only the other night, and I have to say I was fuming because I actually one time got a front row seat to this, like this sort of treatment. And anyone who does this, I swear to God, I am not happy. Like, I've got no time for people who are going to act like... Here we go. So here's the story. So if I go into... Here we go. So yeah, so the story reads, I kid you not, happening right now, bloke kicking off because he wasn't allowed to buy 3 bottles of Coke. Welcome to Medway. Absolute... So if I go ahead and turn this up. So he's already shouting at them and already starting to swear. See? Oh wow, so see, right there, that is pure, that's completely unsociable. I'm sorry. If I was that security guard or if I was that team leader, I would instantly say, get out. Just get out of this store now. I have no time for people like that. That is absolute atrocious. I'm sorry. We're human beings. We're meant to be treating each other with respect and with gratitude. Like, and you should understand, mate, there are people in this world who are seriously, you know, there are so many more vulnerable people in this world. You may be vulnerable, granted, but that does not justify you being able to get like more than 3 bottles. I mean, heck, if you read the rules that they provide, that would give you a clear picture. Don't think you're an exception. No one is an exception. You know, obviously we're all in this together. We're trying to fight this virus, but if you're just going to prioritize yourself, be selfish and try and load up, you're just going to get it thrown back in your face. So please, anyone out there who is considering trying to get all the stuff they need, you know, if they want to try and, you know, stock up on their supply of something, or, you know, maybe they just want to, you know, maybe they just want, like, maybe all they want is to, like they just want to get through it. But the fact is, panic buying is not going to get you anywhere. All it's going to do is it's going to throw everyone into absolute panic. But anyway, so now I'm going to move on from all this nonsense from like supermarkets. But now, of course, we need to know that, of course, as I say, like non-major retailers such as I say, Superdrug, JD Sport, Primark, and anywhere else in general, M&S, they're all shut. Although I think the food halls, I think they're remaining open. That's as far as I know. But most supermarkets are, of course, staying open, exception being Waitrose. They've recently shut. Now, I can't quite remember exactly why. I mean, of course, they are, of course, partners with John Lewis. But as far as I know, I do believe it's because they don't want to be at risk of overcrowding. Because it is still, like, it's not the most major retailer out there. But anyway, so, saying that, John Lewis did also close. So I think it was only natural that they closed. So, anyway, moving on. Now, on a slightly more positive note, I do also want to just interest you a little bit. So, back in one of my videos, I think it was the 100 subscriber special. I'm going to read a few comments real quick because there's one comment here which I think is going to be quite unique. You know, it's definitely going to be slightly different, but of course, we shall have to wait and see. By the time this goes in the video, I'll probably have cut this out, but we shall have to wait and see. So, 100 subscribers special, here we go. I've got to say, this video did actually brilliant. Like, it was actually so fun to make. And I mean, I'm still using pretty much the exact same setup as I am, like, in this video, but here we go. So, down we go. If the comments want to load. So here we go. So obviously I did make a bit of a muck up later in the video, but sorry about that. Anyway, so this guy lol CJC Congrats on 100. Release the merch. Well, mate, if I had a merch line, I definitely would. I mean, maybe I would. The next one, though, kind of confused me. Justin Cruz show. If yes, type in Justin Cruz, my family picture. Not really quite sure what you're getting at there, man, but okay. Osh HD. Oh my god, my man. Congrats, Dan. You're amazing. Osh HD, you're a legend, mate. You keep doing what you're doing because you're doing so well right now, man. You just keep it going. Bean Sprout Boy, well done on 100 subs. Keep up the grind. Cheers, my man. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure you must be subscribed as well if you're going to write something as nice as that. Next one is from Sam Glennie. Good effort on achieving 100 subs, Dan. On to 1,000. Keep the grind going. Well, I have an interesting story here because that's actually my cousin Sam. Now, of course, if you remember it was the Get to Know Me video, I mentioned that I twisted my ankle and I had my cousin with me as well as my grandmother. Now, he was, like, that's the cousin. Like, he's the one who was with me when I twisted my ankle, which, I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it? But, so a little side story, real quick, just to go off topic. He actually, I don't think he does it much anymore, but he actually did a 24-hour live stream on Twitch for, I think it was for charity, and, well, actually, it was for charity, but the point was, he's on Twitch, and if you want to go follow him and maybe see if he does any more streams, go ahead, link in description. And saying that, there's another person that streams now, and you want to guess who it is? It's, if I scroll to it, it is Steph. So here we go. So we're on to Steph's stream page right now, and so she's already been doing this for quite a while, and she actually streamed just a few days ago. It says 21 hours, 2 days ago, and all that. So she's pretty much streaming more or less every day, and that's definitely something that people could consider. Like if you are alone, if you're at home and you're a bit bored, and you just want to get out there, why not go ahead, play some games, and broadcast it, It's something you can do. Like, it's not too hard. You just get yourself a computer, just connect the computer up to your Xbox, get a live feed. If you want to show your face, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Now, of course, me personally, I'm not really much of a streamer. I've never streamed in my life. I've never ever had the courage or the well-being to want to anyway, so I doubt you'll see any of that from me, but who knows, if I get too bored, then maybe that's something I will consider, but the problem is I'll need some sort of cam link, because I don't want to be using the camera on my laptop. It's pretty weak. I'll probably use the Canon 80D, but that's no guarantee that I will start streaming, but, it's just something that it's something that's just been hanging in the back of my head, but to be fair, I mean, Steph, like, obviously, with everything going on in the world, she can't be careless either. Like, we've all got to be so careful because, any wrong move and you could easily come down with a virus, or unbeknownst to you, you could be a carrier of this virus and you could spread it to people you do not want it to be spread to. That's the thing. We cannot be too careful. We have to wash our hands, put hand sanitizer on, wear gloves. Now, the masks, that's another thing. The masks are a bit funny, if I'm being honest. I believe they should only be worn by those who've got it, because if you're just wearing a mask and you haven't got it, well then, what's the point? I mean, now, because I think it's because they're actually mostly used for nurses and doctors. Like, they're the ones who need it the most. So, but if you've got one spare, well then, I'd save them for the NHS. But anyway, so as far as Steph being on YouTube, she's announced that she won't be making many videos. She's mostly going to be streaming. So anyway, her gamer tag is GamerStephMore, and if you want to go and check out her stuff, she does a lot of streaming of Apex Legends. I think that's what it is. I've played the game. I don't mind it. It's not my ultimate cup of tea. But I have to say, from a first chance or from a first time, I think I played it for about a month, and then I just got bored of it. But it's not bad. It's pretty much got a very Fortnite theme to it. Battle Royale, but instead of it being every person for themselves, it's actually it's basically teams of 3. Now, I think Fortnite does actually have a mode like with that similar sort of play style, but we shall have to wait and see. Anyway, so moving on from that. I'm just trying to think, what else was I going to talk about? Well, of course, as I say, this channel, as I say, I wanted to do some skits and sketches. Those are still going to be coming. Now, I have actually been thinking about those, but obviously I'm going to have to do them on my own now because of this whole crisis. So it just means I need to become a bit more creative. And if you guys have got any sort of suggestions, anything at all, I'm not saying I've got no ideas. I'm saying if you guys have any sort of little ideas in the back of your head about what I could do, just let me know down in the comments, because I'm always open to hear what you guys have got to say. But I will say that the communication on the first podcast or show, it wasn't quite as, it didn't really seem to pick up much attention. Like I actually didn't get any comments on it. So now, of course, I do not demand comments. I will only say, if you want to, then just comment down below. But again, that's just what I say. But no, but as far as that, the last out and about vlog I did, I have to say that one was a little bit weird to me, because everything was happening so fast, like I couldn't keep up, and my head was beginning to get destroyed by it. But I just whine a ton, so let's just not go there. But as far as everything else is concerned, pretty much right now, I'm pretty much at home most of the time, although I do obviously have to go out and work, so that's a thing. But as far as everything else, everything is pretty good. I will say, though, that, some people will probably see me cough, but it's not a dry cough. It's just because, I do need to start drinking a few more fluids, like, a bit more fizzy drinks or whatever, or maybe I need to drink less. I don't know. I do drink plenty of water, but I also do tend to drink too much Fanta. My NSAs ran out again because, unfortunately, again, I seem to go through them almost like wildfire. And to be fair, they're full of energy, so I'll probably be bouncing off the walls. And actually, mentioning that, Flip Out's another one of those companies that has actually, they've also had to close their doors. But let's be real, it's a perfect place for a gathering. And of course, the police can actually disperse gatherings, or can even fine you, or even arrest you. Unless if you're going in pairs, or if you're in a public park in a group of more than 2, and other things like that. It's basically the guidelines now. So fair to say, it's going to be pretty interesting from now on. It's going to be very funny to see what people come up with. I mean, there's also TikToks. Like me and TikToks, I'm not really a big fan of TikToks, because there are some that are funny. For example, the really fast rapping guy with his grandmother. I'm not going to go into it, but I may have to show a clip of it, because that one I think that's probably one of the most defining moments on this app. It's so funny. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sure everyone must by now. But another thing is the dinner's ready one. I think his name is Dylan Allen Patterson, but he was taking the audio from someone else's, but you get the gist. But anyway, and another thing, actually, on a slightly different note, I've been playing a lot of iPhone games as of late, and one I've been playing a lot of is Brawl Stars. Now, so yeah, this game in itself is actually one of those games, you either love it or you hate it. You could say it's like Fortnite, or, you could say Clash of Clans, because it's actually made by the same people, or things like that. So yeah, it's got different game modes. And I want to ask you guys right now, who's your favourite brawler, or who's your favourite character in this? I mean, I have a few. Like, if you know who I'm talking about, if you guys are into Brawl Masters, if you guys are into Brawl Stars, then just let me know down below and tell me your favourite brawler. Because I sort of go in between El Primo. El Primo, Colt, Daryl, Max, Bull, and Barley. I sometimes will use Jesse or Rosa. I sometimes go in between them, to just try and mix it up a little bit, and so they get all an equal amount of trophies. But recently, I've been sticking around with Max, who's this character right here, and I got to say, Max is incredibly fast. I will say that he could have more damage with his attack, but again, with the speed of him, he's able to get out of a situation quickly, and he can also reload his weapon very fast, so fair to say. And the game itself is actually very, very fun. Like, it's very fast paced. You know, you've got to make sure you watch your back, and you've got to make sure you know each character well, otherwise you're pretty much doomed. Like, because each character has got its own strengths and weaknesses, so there'll be a few things it's good at, but a couple of things it's really bad at. So one could be very slow, one could be very fast, one could shoot further but reload slower, one could be shooting much closer but be able to reload faster anyway, so they're going to get up close. So it's kind of a unique mix, really. So quite the variety. But anyway, so I think that's going to wrap up today's video. Unfortunately, I've had to make this one a little bit shorter than the last few. That's mostly due to the fact that, unfortunately, time is not of essence, and hopefully in the future I will try and make some more of these, because I have to say, like, people have actually come forward to me and said that the podcast actually was quite interesting. Now, of course, the editing I made on the first one, there were some minor cuts. There are going to have to be some more jump cuts on this one, because there are some long moments where I went quiet. So if you do need to bash me for that, then go ahead, whatever, but I can't really help it. Sometimes I'm actually doing this without a script, so just keep that in mind. But as far as videos, you know, just be sure to stay tuned, and hopefully I'll get one of these videos, these podcasts, these shows, whatever you want to call them. I'll try and get one up every week. Could be 2 a week, could be anything, I don't know. But just stay tuned. Anyway, I want to say thank you guys for coming around and checking out this video. If you want to see the last one, or the very first one, or the pilot episode, go ahead and click the link, which will be, I believe it'll be right up here. If you also want to check out any other videos, my Out and About vlog series, that'll be up there as well. Hopefully I'll be trying to, like, once this whole thing blows over, then I should be back in the game. But again, we will have to wait and see. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Take great care. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I shall see you next time.